Hi fellow Weekly Festivals members, Renee Lupin here doing week 18, I think, of our discussion videos, and this was on things we've disliked about the Harry Potter series. Always a tricky thing to talk about it in detail when it's something you love so much. And I'm also very lenient with the Harry Potter series. I tend to forgive Jo Rowling almost everything that I would ordinarily be incredibly picky and harsh about for any other writer, for any other series. So, yeah, I mean, obviously there's always going to be things as a reader that you want to happen in terms of character development or the plot outline, and they don't happen, and you're disappointed, you think, I would have done it differently, and that's certainly been the case for all the books with me, but, yeah, I tend to be quite forgiving, so none of this stuff's going to be too major. I will say, though, I'm disappointed that something I treasured very much. I really wanted Sirius to, okay, not necessarily be gay, be a homosexual character, but I had my heart set on the idea that he was, or had been at least, in love with James Potter. Of course, many people would be like, what? That's crazy! They were just friends, what's wrong with that? Nothing at all. I completely understand that they were just best mates. But for some reason, the idea struck me, and I just thought, yeah, that feels right, and that makes it so much more sincere and moving to me anyway. So yeah, I was convinced that he was gonna at some point confess that he'd had romantic and sexual feelings for James, and then it never came about. And that's not to say that it's been disproven. It just wasn't mentioned, so I didn't get to see it solidified in canon, so I was sad about that. Also just wondering, this will sound strange, but why we never directly got to meet any homosexual characters in the Wizarding World. And it's not that it's a necessary thing, but it just felt like one of those social aspects of a community that wasn't touched upon, and I spent a lot of time wondering, because blood purity and your family tree, your history, is such a big thing and is the main topic of prejudice in the Wizarding World. I just wondered how they dealt with the more muggle social issues, you know, racism, sexism, homophobia. And so yeah, I was just always curious and never really got to see any of that. Swearing. Lack of swearing. I, like everybody else, was very happy, of course, when Mrs. Weasley said, "Not my daughter, you bitch," because it was so warranted anyway, and more. And I remember being very shocked and thrilled when I saw the word slut in the 6th book in Half-Blood Prince. I think that it was more so the case that, especially in later books, swear words were just continually alluded to in really corny ways as well. It'd be like, Ron said a word that made Hermione gasp, and you'd just think, oh, I think if that part of it had been removed from the writing, it wouldn't have annoyed me. I probably wouldn't have been that conscious of it, but the fact that they were at the ages, they were like 16, 17, 18, where when bad stuff was going down or something shocking was occurring, you would be swearing, or at least Ron would. Yeah, just the fact that it was alluded to or referenced in a really roundabout way just felt so forced, and it felt like censorship every single time. And the fact that it was just that conscious for me whenever I read it really drove me nuts. I remember the 5th book, I think, Uncle Vernon going, "No more effing owls!" And controversy for days with friends asking, did he actually say effing? Did he say the word effing is a substitute for? What exactly did he say there? So that one drove me mad. So swearing, yeah, lack of swearing. Random thing to say, I know. This is a really minor thing, but we never found out who the flip were the other 2 girls in Harry's year in Gryffindor. We know that there was Hermione, Parvati and Lavender, but we never knew the other 2 girls, and that drove me mad. Especially since in subsequent interviews people keep asking Jo, and she can't tell us because she can't remember, or she didn't remember to bring her notebook to check. It's not lazy or anything. It was just one of those tiny things that kept niggling at me. But my biggest criticism that springs to mind would be that I was one of those freaky people advocating for a Harry death to conclude the series. Death as in dead, ain't coming back. That had always felt to me like the most fitting, right, natural ending that there could be, the only ending in my mind that there could have been to this series. I thought it would be 10 times more emotionally resonant and poetic and proper. And I know that, I mean, it was still done very nicely with what happened, and the lead up to his death was dealt with really beautifully in the book, which is what I loved. But the resurrection stuff, I know why it happened, I get it, but it just wasn't what I wanted to see. And the epilogue, I think it would have been fine if the epilogue didn't exist. I try to just ignore that now, because, so corny and trite, and, I mean, it's cute and sweet and nicely wrapped up in its own way, but I don't care for the epilogue at all, so I like to pretend it's not there. It's never happened. So, yeah, the conclusion, I wanted a dead Harry. That sounds so horrible, but it's true. So there's just some of the things I can think of. Nothing really big, I guess, but some stuff that sprung to mind there. So I'm gonna get going because I'm feeling delirious, and I'll do one more video, and then I'll be caught up on the Wissy Thestral stuff. So that's all for now. Bye.